So fortunately, we do have vaccines for the polio virus that are highly effective. And there are two different types of polio vaccines. We have the oral poliovirus vaccine, or OPV, and an inactivated poliovirus vaccine, or IPV. And both of these vaccines are similar in that they produce immunity by way of active immunization, which is just a way to produce immunity by delivering either a live, weakened or attenuated strand of a virus, or a killed strand of a virus, or even a portion of a virus into a recipient, resulting in an immune response that stimulates antibody production against the virus, and therefore it produces immunity by preparing the body for contact with that virus in the future. But these two different types of vaccines also differ, and we're going to talk a little bit more about them in detail in these next couple slides. So first we're going to talk about oral poliovirus vaccines, or OPVs. These vaccines contain live attenuated strains of the poliovirus types, and attenuated just means weakened. And there's three different types of OPVs. There's a trivalent OPV, which contains all three strains, a bivalent OPV, which contains two, and a monovalent OPV, which contains one of the strains of the virus. These vaccines produce antibodies in the bloodstream as well as the intestinal immune system, which is very important since we know that this virus likes to hang around in the intestines. This is the type of vaccine that you're going to see in underdeveloped and developing countries, because it is very easy to administer. It's administered orally, and there's no need for sterile equipment or training to do this. So it can be given to thousands of children, in a matter of a few days. It's fairly inexpensive to produce compared to the other type of polio vaccine, and that intestinal immune response that this produces, it creates a passive immunization for others, for those that are living in the same village or the same city as the people that may contract the disease. However, because this vaccine does contain live strains of the virus, it has been known to cause VAPP, or vaccine-associated paralytic polio, which is where, in process of trying to immunize the recipient, they actually contract the disease. But that risk is very low, and this vaccine has been proven to be highly effective, producing immunity in over 95% of the recipients only after 3 doses. So inactivated poliovirus vaccines are a little bit different than OPVs in that they contain killed strains of the 3 poliovirus types rather than weakened strains. These vaccines still produce antibodies in the bloodstream, and there's no risk for VAPP because of this, because that they are killed strains of the virus, and they are proven to be highly effective. This is the type of vaccine that we've all probably received when we were children. There is a low immune response in the intestinal tract, and so it doesn't produce that same passive immunization as the OPV does, and it is fairly expensive to produce, as well as the training that's required to administer this vaccine. However, it is still highly effective, and most children receive 4 doses, or 3 regular doses, and a booster shot between 2 months and 6 years old. I just want to talk briefly about a short history of the epidemiology of the polio virus and the eradication efforts that have been created to rid the world of this disease. Polio is an ancient disease. There's been Egyptian hieroglyphs found that show indications of the presence of polio as early as 1580 BC, and for centuries it has been a public health issue, but especially in the early 20th century, in the industrializing countries, polio was widely feared, and was a major health issue at this time. Efforts were made to create vaccines for this in the early 1950s and 1960s. Immunizations controlled the transmission of the disease in the more developed countries, but underdeveloped and developing countries, it still was a major issue until 1988. The Global Polio Eradication Initiative began, and groups of organizations came together to work together to try to eradicate polio from the world. And since then, millions of children have been immunized from polio. It's been very successful, and the polio cases have decreased by 99%. But still, there's two countries left, Pakistan and Afghanistan. Most of the world's been eradicated of polio, but in these two countries, there's still some opposition that they face that hinders these efforts. But still, polio has been almost completely eradicated globally, thanks to vaccines. So that is our presentation. I hope you guys liked it, and hope you guys learned some stuff about polio today. And thank you for listening.